High Commander Nexus watched his control screens in growing fear as more ships left his fleet. After Ambassador Sunmi's message, 6 alien species had already pulled their forces out of the coalition. They refused to fight after learning how he had lied to them. "Launch everything we have," he ordered his remaining ships. "We will crush these humans before more allies desert us." His crystal flagship led the attack, followed by hundreds of ships from species still loyal to him. Admiral Du Young stood on the bridge of the Songbuk, watching the enemy fleet approach. Captain Hannah's voice came through the communication system. "Admiral, my stealth ships are in position near Saturn. Lieutenant Ta Wun's teams are ready on their assault ships." "Good," said Du Young. "Begin Operation Thunderstorm." The plan started with a surprise. Instead of defending Earth, the human fleet moved away from it. Nexus ships followed, thinking they had scared Earth's defenders away. They didn't realize they were being led into a trap. The human fleet headed toward Saturn. The giant planet's gravity was much stronger than Earth's. As they got closer, Nexus's ships began to have problems. The crystal hulls creaked under the gravitational pressure. "Now," Du Young commanded. Hannah's stealth ships appeared behind the alien fleet, firing their graviton beams. At the same time, more human ships came out from hiding behind Saturn's moons. The alien fleet was caught between Saturn's powerful gravity and attacks from all sides. On Nexus's flagship, warning lights flashed everywhere. "The gravity is too strong," an officer shouted. "Our crystal systems are failing." Nexus watched in horror as his ships started breaking apart. Some tried to retreat, but Earth's ships blocked their escape routes. Others tried to fight, but their weapons didn't work well under the intense gravity. That's when the second part of the plan began. Lieutenant Ta Wun and his Special Forces teams, hidden in small, strong ships, flew through the chaos of battle. They headed straight for Nexus's flagship. "Remember your training," Ta Wun told his teams. "The ship's gravity will be different from Earth's, but we're ready for that." They had practiced in special rooms that could change gravity levels, preparing for this moment. Their ships attached to Nexus's flagship like tiny metal fish on a giant crystal whale. Using special cutting tools, they made their way inside. The ship's defenders tried to stop them, but they were slow and clumsy in their crystal armor, while the humans moved quickly and surely. Meanwhile, the space battle reached its peak. Hannah's ships forced the alien fleet closer to Saturn, while more human ships attacked from behind Saturn's moons. Crystal ships shattered everywhere, their pieces creating a beautiful but deadly dance in space. On the flagship's bridge, Nexus heard fighting outside his command room. The door burst open, and Ta Wun's teams rushed in. Nexus reached for a weapon, but stopped when he saw how many humans had their weapons pointed at him. "High Commander Nexus," said Ta Wun, "you are under arrest for lying to your coalition and starting an illegal war." At that moment, Admiral Du Young's voice boomed through the ship's communication system. "Attention all coalition forces. Your commander has been captured. The war is over. Withdraw your ships, and we can begin peace talks." The remaining alien ships stopped fighting. One by one, they pulled back from Saturn's dangerous gravity. The great space battle was ending, not with more destruction, but with the possibility of peace. Du Young looked at the battle screens one last time. The humans had won, not just because they were stronger, but because they understood how to use their harsh world's lessons to their advantage. The Deathworlders had proved they were more than just survivors. They were worthy of respect. Captain Hannah sat in the command chair of her stealth ship, the Shadow Runner. The ship's dark hull absorbed light, making it almost invisible against the blackness of space. Around her, 5 other stealth ships moved silently through the darkness. They were Earth's newest weapons, and no one outside Earth knew they existed. 20 minutes until we reached the alien supply line, her navigation officer whispered. Even though sound couldn't travel in space, the crew spoke quietly. The mission felt like sneaking up on a sleeping giant. Hannah checked the time. There were still 40 hours left before the aliens' deadline, but Admiral Du Young had decided not to wait. Sometimes, he had said, the best defense is to strike first. The plan was simple but dangerous. The alien fleet needed fuel and supplies from their bases beyond Pluto. Hana's stealth ships would attack these supply ships, forcing the main fleet to either help them or watch them be destroyed. "Contact," said the sensor officer. 3 large supply ships ahead. They're moving slowly and their shields are low. They don't expect any danger here. Hana smiled. Dr. Jaiho's research was already proving useful. The supply ships were made of the same crystals as the warships, and they were about to learn about gravity the hard way. "All ships, activate graviton beams," she ordered. These were Earth's secret weapons, developed after years of studying gravity. Target their engine sections. Remember, steady pressure until the crystals crack. 6 invisible beams reached out through space. They didn't look impressive, just slight distortions in the starlight. But they carried the crushing force of artificial gravity. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then one of the supply ships shuddered. Cracks appeared in its crystal hull, spreading like ice breaking on a pond. The ship's crew tried to raise their shields, but it was too late. "First ship's crystals are failing," reported the weapons officer. Second ship showing similar damage. Hana watched as the beautiful crystal ships began to break apart. She felt a little sad. They were lovely ships, even if they belonged to the enemy. But this was war, and Earth had to show its strength. Suddenly, alarms blared. "Multiple ships jumping in," called the sensor officer. "Looks like a response fleet. 6 warships, Mom." "Right on schedule," said Hana. This was part of the plan too. All ships switched to attack pattern Delta. Lead them toward the gravity well. The stealth ships scattered like startled birds, but in a carefully planned way. The alien warships followed, shooting bright energy beams that lit up space. But their shots went wide. They couldn't get a good lock on the stealth ships. Hana's ship shook as a near miss heated up their hull. "Stay calm," she told her crew. "Remember, they're not used to fighting in strong gravity. The closer we get to Neptune's gravity well, the clumsier they'll be." The chase continued for 20 minutes. The alien ships were faster in open space, but they had to slow down as they got closer to Neptune. Its gravity was already affecting their crystal ships. "Now," Hana ordered. All 6 Earth ships turned at once and fired their graviton beams again. The aliens, already struggling with Neptune's gravity, couldn't handle the extra force. 2 of their ships cracked apart immediately. The others retreated, their crystal hulls showing dangerous cracks. Back on the Seongbuk, Admiral Du Young received Hana's victory report. 6 stealth ships just destroyed 3 supply ships and 2 warships, he told his crew, and forced 4 more to retreat. The bridge crew cheered. It wasn't a major victory, but it proved that Earth could fight back. More importantly, it showed that Dr. Jaiho's research was right. The aliens' beautiful technology had a fatal weakness. The aliens had thought humans would wait in fear until the deadline. Instead, Earth had struck first, using the very forces of nature that had made humans strong. The real war was just beginning. The Earth Defense Council room was filled with worried voices. 50 of Earth's most important leaders sat around a large round table, their faces lit by the soft blue light from the ceiling. Ambassador Sunmai stood at the front of the room, her hand steady as she played the alien message again. When the message ended, the room burst into loud argument. Some wanted to fight right away. Others thought they should try to talk with the aliens first. A few even suggested surrendering to save lives. Ambassador Sunmai raised her hand for quiet. At 45 years old, she had handled many tough talks with other worlds, but never something this serious. "We need to think carefully," she said, "but we also need to think fast. We have less than 70 hours left." The door opened, and Dr. Jaiho hurried in. He carried a large computer tablet and looked excited despite the serious situation. "Sorry I'm late," he said, "but I found something important." Everyone turned to look at the scientist. His usual neat appearance was messy, showing he had been working without rest since the alien message arrived. "Tell us, Doctor," said Sunmei. Jai-Ho connected his tablet to the room's main screen. Pictures of the alien ships appeared, along with charts and numbers. "These aliens think we're too dangerous because we come from what they call a death world. But that's actually our biggest advantage." He showed a picture of an alien body scan. "Look at their bones, their muscles. They evolved on worlds with low gravity. Their bodies are weak compared to ours. Even their ships are made of special crystals that work best in low gravity." Captain Hana, who had come from the Songbuk with Admiral Du Young, stood up. "So if we can force them to fight in Earth-like conditions, they'll be at a huge disadvantage," Jai-Ho finished. "Their bodies will tire quickly. Their weapons and ships might not work right. They've never had to deal with conditions like ours." Admiral Du Young nodded slowly. "That's why they want us to surrender. They're afraid of a real fight." A general from the African command spoke up. "But their technology is still more advanced than ours, and there are 17 species working together against us. Advanced technology isn't everything," said Hana. She walked to the front of the room and brought up pictures of Earth's newest ships. "Our vessels are built to handle extreme conditions. We've made them strong because we had to. Space is harsh, and we learned to deal with it." Sun Mi looked thoughtful. "If we could capture one of their ships, prove that they attacked us without reason, we might be able to split their coalition. Some of them might not agree with this attack." "We need a plan that uses all our strengths," said Du Young. "Not just our military power, but our ability to adapt, to think differently, to work together." He turned to Hana. "Captain, how long would it take to get our stealth ships ready?" 6 hours, Admiral. They're our newest and best ships." "Good. Dr. Jai-Ho, keep studying their weaknesses. Ambassador Sunmai, prepare messages in case we can contact some of the alien species separately." Du Young looked around the room. "They think we're savages because we survived on a harsh world. Let's show them that surviving makes you smarter, not just stronger." The room felt different now. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with hope and determination. These were the descendants of humans who had survived ice ages, wars, diseases, and countless other challenges. They weren't going to surrender just because some aliens thought they were too tough to join their club. As the council members began working on their parts of the plan, Sunmi walked to a window and looked at the city below. People were going about their daily lives, not knowing about the threat hanging over them. She made a silent promise that those people would stay free, no matter what it took. Lieutenant Ta-One crouched behind a fallen tree, watching the alien ship land in the valley below. His Special Forces team was hidden in the forest around the valley. The morning air was thick with fog, and rain fell steadily from dark clouds. It was the kind of weather humans were used to, but it would make things harder for the aliens. "They're coming out," whispered his second-in-command through the radio. They're struggling." Tai-One could see why. The alien soldiers were tall and thin, wearing crystal armor that sparkled even in the dim light, but their movements were slow and awkward. Earth's gravity pulled at them, making each step difficult. The rain made their crystal armor slippery, and the mud stuck to their feet. "Remember," Tai-One told his team, "Dr. Jai-Ho says they've never fought in conditions like this. Their armor is heavy, and their bodies aren't built for our gravity. But don't underestimate them. Their weapons are still dangerous." The aliens spread out from their ship, moving in what was supposed to be a search pattern. But they kept slipping in the mud and having trouble climbing over fallen trees. Their beautiful crystal armor, so perfect in space, was now working against them. One alien tried to jump over a small stream. On their homeworld, they could have jumped 3 times this far, but Earth's gravity pulled them down hard, and they fell into the water with a splash. Their crystal armor started crackling with stress from the impact. "Now," Ta-One ordered quietly. His team moved through the forest like shadows. They had trained for weeks in heavy suits, making their bodies stronger. Now, without those training suits, they felt light and fast. They moved over the wet ground and through the trees with ease, surrounding the alien group. The first alien noticed something was wrong when they heard movement in the trees. They raised their energy weapons, but the rain and fog made it hard for them to see far. The humans, used to fighting in bad weather, had no such problems. Taiwan gave the signal, and his team attacked from all sides. They used special weapons designed to create localized gravity fields, just like the ships in space. The aliens' crystal armor, already stressed from Earth's gravity, couldn't handle the extra pressure. Their armor is cracking. Someone called over the radio. The sound of breaking crystal filled the air, mixing with the rain and thunder. The aliens tried to fight back, but everything was working against them. Their energy weapons didn't work well in the rain. Their targeting systems were confused by the water droplets, and every time they tried to move quickly, Earth's gravity made them stumble. An alien commander tried to order a retreat, but it was too late. Taiwan's team had blocked the way back to their ship. The aliens found themselves trapped in an environment they had never trained for, facing soldiers who had lived their whole lives in these conditions. Within 20 minutes, it was over. The alien soldiers surrendered, their beautiful armor broken, their weapons useless in the rain. Taiwan's team hadn't lost a single person. Command, this is Ground Team 1. Taiwan reported. Valley secured. 15 aliens captured. Their ship is intact. He looked at the alien prisoners, seeing not monsters but soldiers who had never imagined fighting in a place like Earth. They need medical attention. The gravity is hard on their bodies. As medical teams arrived to help the captured aliens, Taiwan received news from other ground battles around the world. Everywhere, it was the same story. The aliens' advanced technology wasn't working well on Earth, and their bodies couldn't handle the gravity. What they had thought would be an easy conquest was becoming a painful lesson. Earth isn't a death world. Taiwan told one of the alien prisoners who spoke some English. It's a living world, and it taught us how to survive anything. Lieutenant Taiwan wiped sweat from his forehead as he watched his Special Forces team run through their training course. The afternoon sun beat down on the military base in the mountains. This was their 4th practice run today, and they were getting better each time. Again, he called out, "Remember, in real gravity, the aliens will move slower than us. We need to be quick and strong." The soldiers nodded and started the course once more. They climbed walls, jumped across gaps, and carried heavy packs, all while wearing suits that would protect them from alien weapons. The suits were hot and heavy, but that was the point. If they could fight well in these conditions, they would have a big advantage against the aliens. Meanwhile, in the science lab under the mountain, Dr. Jaiho was making an important discovery. He held up a crystal similar to the ones the alien ships used. The crystal glowed with a soft purple light, just like the alien message had. "Look at this," he said to Captain Hana, who had come to check on his progress. He put the crystal in a special chamber and slowly increased the pressure. At first, nothing happened. Then, as the pressure got higher, small cracks appeared in the crystal. Finally, with a sharp crack, it broke into pieces. Their whole technology is based on these crystals, Jaiho explained. They work perfectly in space, where there's no pressure. But in high gravity or under pressure, he pointed to the broken pieces. Hana picked up one of the crystal fragments, so their ships will have the same weakness. Yes, especially if we can force them to follow us into the gravity wells of planets or large moons. Jaiho typed on his computer, showing diagrams of the solar system. Any place with strong gravity could be a trap for them. On the Xianbuk, Admiral Du Young was studying these same diagrams. He had spent hours planning different battle strategies. The alien fleet was bigger, but Earth's ships were stronger. They had to use this advantage wisely. His computer beeped with a message from Ambassador Sunmei. She had been working on translating more alien signals they had picked up. The message made him smile for the first time in days. Admiral, Sun Mi's message read, I found proof that some alien species in the Coalition don't fully support this attack. They're afraid of us, yes, but they also respect our strength. If we can show we're not the savages they think we are, we might be able to turn them to our side. Do Young called a meeting with his top officers. They gathered around the command table, looking at a large map of space around Earth. The Admiral pointed to several spots where the gravity was especially strong. Here, here, and here, he said. These are our trap points. When the aliens come, we'll lead them into these areas. Lieutenant Ta Wan's forces will be ready to board their ships when the crystals start to crack. The officers looked at the map, then at each other. They could see how the plan might work. It was risky, but they had no choice. Earth's freedom depended on their success. In the training area, Ta Wan's team finished their final run of the day. They were tired but proud. They had beaten their best time, even with the heavy suits. As the sun set behind the mountains, Ta Wan looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the alien fleet was waiting. But Earth was getting ready. Get some rest, he told his team. Tomorrow, we practice space combat. And soon, we'll show those aliens why Earth's gravity made us strong instead of weak. Admiral Du Young stood at the wide window of the Earth Defense Force flagship Shongbuk, looking at the blue planet below. His weathered hands were clasped behind his back, and his dark uniform showed his high rank. The quiet of space was broken only by the soft beeping of computers and quiet talk of his crew. Admiral, we're getting a strange signal, said Officer Kim at the communication station. His young face showed worry as he worked at his screen. It's coming from the edge of our solar system. Sir, the power reading is massive. Do Young walked to the main screen, his steps quick but steady. Show me, he said. The screen lit up with a sight that made everyone on the bridge stop and stare. A huge fleet of ships, unlike anything they had seen before, hung in the darkness near Pluto. Their ships looked like giant crystals, shining with strange lights. Suddenly, all screens on the bridge turned bright purple. A voice filled the room. It sounded almost musical, but there was something cold and threatening in it. People of Earth, the voice said, we are the Combined Worlds Coalition. We speak for 17 advanced civilizations. We have watched your violent species for many years. You are too dangerous to join our peaceful galaxy. Do Young's face stayed calm, but his hands tightened into fists. The crew looked at each other with fear and anger. Your planet is what we call a death world. The voice continued. You have evolved in horrible conditions, high gravity, extreme temperatures, dangerous animals, and deadly diseases. This has made you unnaturally strong and aggressive. We cannot risk letting such a savage species spread among the stars. Officer Lee at the weapons station reached for her controls, but Du Young held up his hand. Wait, he said quietly. Let's hear their full message. You have two choices, the voice said. Surrender to our rule within 72 Earth hours, or we will destroy your civilization. If you surrender, we will control your development and keep you contained. If you refuse, there was a pause. We will show you that even Deathworlders can die. The message ended. The screens returned to normal, showing the crystal ships still waiting at the edge of the solar system. Do Young turned to his crew. Their faces showed different emotions: fear, anger, determination. He had served with many of them for years. They had faced space pirates, handled first contact situations, and solved deep space emergencies. But this was different. This was a threat to everything they had built. Get me Earth Command, he ordered, and start scanning those ships. I want to know everything about them, their weapons, their defenses, and especially their weaknesses. Sir, said Captain Hana, walking onto the bridge. She had clearly run there after hearing about the message. What are we going to do? Do Young looked at the screen again, studying the alien fleet. Then he smiled slightly, not a happy smile, but one that showed he had already started planning. They think we're savages because we survived on a death world, he said. They don't understand that surviving makes you stronger, not weaker. Get Dr. Jeho up here from the science lab. Tell him to bring everything he has on alien biology. And contact Ambassador Sunma. We'll need her diplomatic skills. He turned to face his crew, his voice firm and clear. They've given us 72 hours to surrender. We're going to use that time to show them exactly why Deathworlders are not to be underestimated. The crew straightened in their seats, fear turning to determination. They had trained for combat, had the best technology Earth could make, and most importantly, they had something worth fighting for. In the viewport behind them, Earth continued its peaceful spin, unaware that its children were about to fight for its freedom. The crystal ships waited in the darkness, their ultimatum delivered. But they were about to learn that threatening humans was a dangerous mistake. 1 month after the final battle, Ambassador Sunmai stood in the newly built Galactic Peace Center in Geneva. The building was special because it used both human and alien design. Its strong metal frame came from Earth, while beautiful crystal windows came from alien worlds. The whole building showed how different peoples could work together. Representatives from all 17 alien species sat around a large round table. Even High Commander Nexus was there, though no longer as a commander. He sat quietly, looking much older than before the war. "We are here to sign the Earth Coalition Peace Treaty," Sunmai announced. "This agreement will change how we all live and work together in space." Admiral Du Young and Captain Hauna sat on one side of the table, while various alien leaders sat on the other side. Dr. Jeho stood near a large screen, ready to explain his latest research. "Before we sign," said Dr. Jeho, "I want to share something important." He showed pictures of both human and alien bodies on the screen. "We've learned that what makes us different can also make us stronger together." He explained how humans could help the aliens build stronger ships and stations. In return, the aliens could teach humans about their crystal technology. "Your crystals work perfectly in space," he said. "Our materials work well in gravity. Together, we can build better things than either of us could alone." Lieutenant Tawan, who had helped train the first mixed human-alien security team, spoke next. "We've already seen how well we can work together. My team now includes members from 3 different alien species. They're learning to handle gravity better, and we're learning from their experience in space." One of the alien leaders, who had been among the first to leave Nexus's coalition, stood up. "We were wrong to fear humans because they came from a harsh world," she said. "Their strength is not just in their bodies, but in their minds and hearts. They fought us, yes, but they also showed mercy and helped us see the truth." Sunmai opened the peace treaty. Its first words were clear and simple. All species, no matter their home world, have the right to explore space and join the galactic community. Strength comes in many forms, and diversity makes us all stronger. As leaders from each species signed the treaty, Sunmai looked out the crystal windows at the city below. Humans walked the streets alongside alien visitors. Some aliens wore special suits to help them handle Earth's gravity, while others had already started adapting to it naturally. "This is just the beginning," she said to Du Young. "Think of what we can learn from each other." Du Young nodded. Already, some of their scientists are studying Earth's oceans. They've never seen anything like them, and our engineers are helping them build ships that can handle any kind of gravity. After the signing, there was a celebration. Human and alien music played together, creating new and beautiful sounds. Food from all different worlds was shared, though some aliens were surprised by how spicy Earth food could be. High Commander Nexus approached Sunmai during the celebration. "I was wrong about your people," he said quietly. "I thought being strong meant being dangerous. Now I understand that true strength is knowing when to fight and when to make peace." As the day ended, the crystal windows of the Peace Center caught the setting sun, sending rainbow colors across the room. Humans and aliens stood together, watching the beautiful sight. They had all learned an important lesson. What seems dangerous or different at first might turn out to be valuable and special. Earth was still a death world to some, but now that name carried respect, not fear. The humans had proved that surviving hard times could make you stronger and wiser, and that the best strength comes from working together. Ambassador Sun Mai sat in her office, studying the messages from the captured alien soldiers. Her team had spent days translating them, and what they found made her both angry and hopeful. She immediately called Admiral Du Young. "Admiral, you need to see this," she said when he arrived. "These messages show that High Commander Nexus lied to his own people." Do Young looked at the translated messages on her screen. "Tell me everything," he said, sitting down across from her desk. Sun Mei brought up several video recordings from the alien prisoners. 3 years ago, we sent out peaceful messages to any alien civilizations who might be listening. We talked about trade, cultural exchange, and learning from each other. "I remember," said Du Young. "We never got an answer. That's because Nexus hid our messages from everyone else," Sun Mai explained. "He told the other species that we were dangerous savages who only wanted war. But these soldiers' messages home tell a different story." She played a recording of one of the captured aliens talking to a medical team. The alien spoke slowly, still getting used to Earth's gravity. "Your people helped us when we were hurt," the alien said. "The stories said you were violent creatures, but you showed mercy. Why?" Another recording showed an alien scientist talking with Dr. Jio. "Your world is harsh, yes," the alien admitted. "But you learned to live with it, not just fight against it. We never considered that." Do Young understood what this meant. If we can show these messages to the other species in the coalition, they might turn against Nexus. Sun Mai finished. Many of them joined him because they were afraid of us, but now they're seeing that he lied. She brought up more translations. Some alien species were already questioning Nexus's leadership. The heavy losses in space and the failed ground attacks made them doubt his decisions. And now, reports of human kindness to prisoners were spreading through the alien fleet. "We need to send a message to all 17 species," Sun Mai said. "Not just to their leaders, but to everyone. Show them the truth about Earth and humans." Do Young nodded slowly. "Can you do it?" "Yes. The captured ship in the valley has a working communication system. We can use it to reach the whole coalition at once. Nexus won't be able to hide our message this time." They worked through the night, preparing the message. Sun Mai included videos of Earth's peaceful cities, human doctors helping injured alien soldiers, and the original peaceful messages that Nexus had hidden. "Your leaders told you we were savages because we survived on a harsh world," Sun Mai recorded in her part of the message. "But surviving made us strong and taught us to help each other. We don't want war. We want to share what we've learned about living in difficult conditions. Together, we could all become stronger." As the message was about to be sent, one of the alien prisoners asked to add something. He was a ship captain who had survived the space battle. "I fought against humans," he recorded. "They could have killed us all. Instead, they took care of us when we were hurt. These are not the actions of savages. High Commander Nexus lied to us all." Sun Mai sent the message through the captured ship systems. It went out to every species in the coalition, bypassing the normal command channels that Nexus controlled. Now everyone would know the truth. "What happens next depends on them," she told Du Young. "But at least now they can make their choice based on truth, not fear." High Commander Nexus stood in his crystal command ship, his tall, thin body shaking with anger. The reports from the supply lines showed heavy losses. The humans had attacked first, using weapons his fleet had never seen before. This changed everything. "Launch the main attack," he ordered. His voice echoed in the crystal chamber. "Show these Deathworlders why 17 civilizations fear us." In Earth's Defense Command Center, Admiral Du Young watched as hundreds of alien ships appeared on the big screen. They came from all directions, their crystal ships sparkling like angry stars. "They're not waiting for the deadline anymore," he said to his officers. "Good. That means they're angry, and angry enemies make mistakes. He pressed a button on his command table. All ships, move to defense positions. Remember your training. Captain Hannah and her stealth ships hid in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The rocks around them were perfect for hiding. Her crew waited quietly as the alien fleet passed by, not knowing Earth's ships were so close. Look at their formation, Hannah said to her crew. They're staying away from the bigger asteroids. They're already afraid of gravity. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Their ships formed a beautiful pattern, like a giant snowflake made of crystal. Suddenly, they fired their weapons. Bright beams of energy shot toward Earth's defenses. But Earth was ready. The defense stations fired back, using special shields that Dr. Jaiho had designed. The shields weren't just for protection. They also created zones of heavy gravity around Earth's ships. Now, Admiral Du Young commanded, "Spring the trap." Hannah's stealth ships came out of hiding. They weren't alone. Dozens of Earth's warships appeared from behind Earth's moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. They had been waiting there, using the gravity of these places to hide. The battle was huge and bright. The alien ships fired their energy weapons, making beautiful but deadly patterns in space. Earth's ships fired back with graviton beams and normal weapons. Everywhere the aliens turned, they found Earth ships using gravity against them. Their formation is breaking, Hannah reported. She watched as the beautiful snowflake pattern fell apart. The alien ships tried to stay together, but Earth's gravity weapons forced them to separate. High Commander Nexus couldn't believe what he was seeing. His perfect fleet was being pulled apart by invisible forces. How are they doing this? He demanded. They're supposed to be savages. The answer came as his own ship shuddered. Warning lights flashed across the crystal walls. The humans had surrounded his fleet, pushing them into areas where gravity was strongest. The crystal ships were starting to crack. Pull back, Nexus ordered. Regroup near Mars. But it was too late for many of his ships. The combined gravity from Earth's weapons and the solar system's planets was too strong. Crystal ships broke apart, their pieces floating in space like broken glass. Admiral Du Young watched as the alien fleet retreated. They had lost many ships, but so had Earth. The asteroid belt was full of broken crystal and metal from both sides. But his plan had worked. The aliens now knew that humans could fight back. Send a message to High Commander Nexus, he told his communications officer. Tell him this is just the beginning. If he wants to see how dangerous Deathworlders really are, we're happy to show him. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. Earth had won its first major fight, proving that being from a death world didn't make them savages. It made them survivors.